Sounds good.
All right, I am here with GloomCulture, Alex, Leo, and Caleb.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
You guys had your debut album hit the music streaming services about a week ago. Songs to Drown the Screams, and
Yes.
it couldn't have come at a better time.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely love it. So, again, just Alex, wave your hand. I know everyone could see, but Alex, Caleb,
Hello.
and Leo. Awesome. So let's, I started talking to Alex, about a week ago, and when the album dropped, and I wanted to just, I've been actually anticipating it. I think I discovered you guys when Panic came out. And I was like, ooh, I am digging this. This is like some hardcore, badass AFI shit. And I love it. I miss metal, to be quite honest with you. I've been doing a lot of spooky surf rock, which I love. A lot of post-punk bands, which I love. But I do miss metal. And more often than not, I get rejected from harder bands because they're like, for fuck knows whatever reason, but it's okay.
Right. Huh.
But let's talk about the fact that, Alex, when I had mentioned, hey, let's do a little interview, you had said, okay, let me see what I can do. And you rallied Leo and Caleb and then told me, what I'm finding so fascinating is that during the pandemic, how bands are all over, like spread out throughout the country. Yeah. Yet you guys are able to still pull off making full-length albums. So
yes.
Tell me about how did you guys meet? That's what I want to know. How did you guys meet?
Right. So I met Leo. We actually all met on Instagram just by following each other. Just, I just think the AFI fan base is just so close, and just who doesn't want to follow, other people that love AFI. So by those means, I met him on Instagram just by following him. And maybe a year after that, I actually met him in person at a Pressure Crack show in Anaheim, California. I drove down there just to see their first show, and he was there, and we were able to meet in person. But I'm pretty sure Leo and Caleb were following each other way before I came into the picture too. So they were friends before I even showed up.
Oh, that's
and then
dope.
They were friends before I even knew they were friends. So we all kind of were like, oh, hey, like we all kind of know each other.
It's some like unholy trinity. I love it. So that's funny.
It was a bunch of likes. It was a bunch of likes and comments on each other's posts for sure that just rallied it together.
Oh, I love
and we're all just interested in making music as well. So that was another important piece of the puzzle. Just knowing that they were involved making music, and it just piqued my interest. And I mean, just by their posts, I just wanted to work with them in some way, just because I dig everything they put out. So that's just how it came up. And we got to write a whole debut album together. It was all basically online. Thanks to email and Google Drive and things, things like that.
It's so fascinating. Like, okay, so you guys have known each other for a minute. So when the pandemic happened, did you guys have plans to begin GloomCulture, or did that just start post-pandemic? Oh, tell me that story.
Just like it just happened. I think me and Alex had started talking about doing stuff, and then I was like, well, hey, Caleb, like me and Caleb, like years, like what, 2 or 3 years ago, talks about doing something with our like solo projects, and then it never kind of happened just because we were both busy. And then getting to work with Caleb and Alex was like, oh, hey, like this kind of works together. We all have like the same dynamic in what we want to do and what we look for in the songs.
Now, what about, okay, so let's look at the songs that that I've been very familiar with in the past few days. Again, I absolutely love, you guys have this unique, it's like Gloom and Doom, which is one of the tracks.
Yes.
I had pun intended. But then there's also this uniqueness about your voice, Alex, that just, it's like, it's so hard. And then your voice is just like, I don't know. I just want to say Lilith is infused in you somehow. It's just badass. Now, when you came about writing the songs, did the pandemic and all the social bullshit, have a hand in any of the songs that you wrote, especially Suffering Society.
I've actually come around. When I wrote that song, let's take it back. The pandemic, I mean, it had to have had some sort of impact on it, right? Not directly or anything. None of the songs are about a pandemic or the pandemic or any real. I mean, yeah, it doesn't really touch on it. It was mostly when I wrote these GloomCulture songs, it was mostly things that have been floating in my head for years, that I just needed to work out by myself. So GloomCulture to me was just a place that I went to just I just find myself, really. It was a distraction from regular life, just having to work a ton and just not having any time for myself. I was able to just put those themes that I had floating in my head for years finally into something. And I think that's also why the album got written so quickly, just because I had things in my head already that needed to get put down on paper or on a song. But how it usually goes is Leo usually writes the instrumental portion of the song. So he writes the guitar, and he puts a basic drum beat underneath it so we can get an idea. And then he'll send it to me, and I'll work on a melody, and I'll have it on my headphones all day at work, and I'll just work on it and constantly work on it. And from his riffs, I actually just imagine words popping up at me, and it's sort of my own job to just pull them out and put them together. Leo's super talented. Let me just get that out there. Leo is very, very talented at writing songs. Oh, yeah. Not only just amazing, fully built songs, but also just at the rate that he does it. It's I don't know. I can never do it, but every song is just a banger that he sends me. I have 10 songs. I have 10 songs in a folder that still have to get words written for. So it's just a whole catch up with him. But after that, I put the words, I record my voice myself, and then I'll send it over to Caleb. And then Caleb just makes it so much. It's if it wasn't a song, it's a song when he's done with it. I remember getting Ghost Story. I mean, I don't know if I should say this, but whatever. I remember getting Ghost Stories, the mastered version of Ghost Stories, and I was sitting right here in my kitchen, and just listening to it and just tearing up because the process, it just started as something, and it just evolved into something so awesome and so, I mean, I won't say beautiful, because it's just the whole process, all three of us coming together to make this song. It totally I teared up, and I called him and I let him know. I'm like, man, I'm so into this record. I believe in this record so much. But yeah, I mean, Suffering. So just to touch on it, sorry, I'm just going all over.
No, I love this. This is what I love.
Suffering Society was actually a song. I was talking to a friend on Instagram, messaging her about, we just share, I mean, she's just in constant pain. And I was just asking her about this condition that she has. And, we're just going back and forth. Obviously, I don't have any sort of, condition like that, but I'm just in pain every day of my life. That's a whole nother topic, but just physical pain. And I just wanted, to take that song and just make it about that. It's just how to deal with, just physical pain in the world, just as we're getting older too. It's just every day, you wake up and I'm like, oh, why does my back hurt today? Oh, it just does, because it does.
This daily pain is insane. I'm like, why?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's just what this, that's what I wanted to put into the song. And each song has a separate theme of, life, but I also get inspired by Leo's riffs, like I said, so it's just whatever he sends me, it just does something. I love this band, and I love playing in this band, and I love these guys. They're so talented, and I'm just really excited for, we just started, so I'm just really excited for everything that's coming. The album is just so, I love the album so much. Sorry.
Same.
And every song on there.
As a fan.
You know. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Now, what is your, actually, before I get into what the future holds, being as the world's opening up, I actually was, of course, creeping on you guys for a while on your Instagram. And let me just note too that social media, you know, some people find it a downfall. And I think if it's used properly to make the right connections, look what happens, my beloved viewers, look what happens. And do you see the dynamic? You don't have to be up each other's ass all the time in order to create something good, you know, but of course we all prefer that. I can't wait to get to a show. And, you know, I was talking about this with a friend the other day, how I miss mosh pits so fucking much. Will I be able to handle it without getting out of breath and dying? It'll be worth it. I don't know. But the point is, because I'm so out of shape, but I'm like, fuck it, I'll get into shape in a pit. But I just can't wait for that again. But I also am like, would we have had these opportunities? So that's another thing. Do you think that if it weren't for the time that, even though you don't seem to have time, you know, with work and everything that you guys have going on, do you think GloomCulture would have been a thing if it weren't for the time that you have and the fact that you're like, the little bit of time that you have to make those connections that you guys made and go, hey, you know, let's go ahead and make a full length album?
Yes.
Would you?
I don't think so. Yeah, and not because like I don't want it to be something, because it took me being in my room to write those songs and be like, hey Alex, I want to try something new with, like, because I had priorly been into like a death rock band and didn't feel like I was having fun anymore. So it took me being stuck to be like, yo, I want to try something new. And then that's when I hit up Alex. So without me being bored in my room, those songs, like, that was Panic. That started off as Panic, and that's how Panic came.
I love it.
And it, now, you know, it was. Sorry, go.
Oh no, go ahead. Keep going.
Writing Panic was in the middle of me moving states too, so it was kind of my escape from all the stress to like be talking to Alex and talking to Caleb. That like I was like, oh cool, this is something that's cool that I can like focus my positive energy on while I'm trying to get out of California right now.
Oh my God. So I want to talk to you more about that, maybe on another, like on a personal level, because I'm actually moving out of California myself in May. I'm moving to Oregon because I am done. Awesome. I'm done with the perpetual sunshine. It's not weather for goths. I've been here my whole life. Literally, I told someone this morning, I'm like, dude, I'm drained because it has been sunny for like ever, and I can't take it anymore. Like Oregon can't come soon enough. So I want to talk to you on a personal level about that. Okay.
Got it. Yeah.
Now, Leo, where you moved out of California? Where are you now?
In Boise, Idaho.
And then where are you?
It's not far from Oregon.
Right? I'm not going to Idaho. I tell people, sorry, I'm black. I'm not moving. I'm not going to Idaho.
You're not going.
Yeah.
I'll meet you halfway. How about that? And then I'm like, oh, but I'm moving to Oregon. I know. I just need to be near the ocean. What about you, Caleb? Where are you located?
I'm in Fredericksburg, Virginia. So I'm just south of DC. So yeah.
Nice. You know, one of the guys that I've been working with runs a music label. Usually it's just spooky or just surf rock, or surf music. But he's like, I want to branch out. I'll take another band. And I'm like, oh, okay. So that's if you guys are interested in being signed. And then I know you're located in where, Alex? I know where you are, but
I'm in Phoenix. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. The thing is, we're all from the West Coast. Leo and I are from California originally, and then Caleb's from Alaska originally.
Shut up! No way.
Yeah. So I was born in Alaska while my mom was visiting some family, because my family's all like East Coasters, like New York, Connecticut, stuff like that. And I was just born in Alaska, literally on a fucking vacation. and then my mom moved up there to like help take care of my grandmother, and I just sort of got stuck. And I would go between Alaska and New York every summer. And then around like 11, I was like, hey, when are we going to New York? You know, and my mom was like, we're not. And I was like, oh, okay, I live in Alaska now. So I'm, you know, I lived in Alaska until I was like 20, I think 2022, I think. Yeah, 22. And then I moved out here a couple years ago. So yeah.
Nice. That's pretty dope. What a story. Like,
Yeah,
I was just born here. We went back and forth. Stark difference. Usually people from Alaska are like, oh, we're in Seattle or, Vancouver, British Columbia.
He went all the way.
Fucking going across the world, dude. That's pretty awesome. And I can imagine the influences that you have there. So let's talk about influences. Obviously AFI is a huge influence.
Yes.
I will never give up my love for Davey and AFI. It's just goth, and that's just what it is. And what I love about AFI is that it's an ever-evolving band. The sound's always changing, and I think that's very important because you'll end up like Metallica otherwise. Whack. So I say it. I don't give a shit. I know I'll get beat up for that, but I don't care. It's true. Like, change your shit up. So let's talk about influences besides AFI. Who do you guys absolutely love? Who got you playing music when you guys were, who made you pick up your instruments and start singing or writing music? Anyone go first?
I'll go first. I'll go first. So my very first concert was at 8 years old, and I was a ginormous Korn fan. My dad took me to see them at the Roxy. Yeah. And I was terrified. I remember looking down at the pit and being scared and watching it and just being terrified, but also like loving it at the same time. So growing up, I was definitely like a nu metal kid going through school because that's what my dad was. But then as I like found my own stuff and my own friends, a lot of it was more so punk and hardcore. There's different versions of hardcore that people that I was told growing up. There was like the Devil Wears Prada hardcore, and there's like real hardcore.
Right.
So I like a mixture of both of it. Yeah, there's the scene kid hardcore, and then there's the hardcore.
There you go.
It's true.
Right. Yeah.
It is true.
But I kind of liked it all. I didn't have an issue with all of it. One of my favorite bands is Motionless in White because of the way that they look, of course, is a big thing. But also because they were heavy. They were like a heavy Marilyn Manson type thing, for lack of a better artist. But that's definitely.
I know. We could always talk about that fool anytime you want. It's fine. I'm learning.
Looking at the ground just now.
No, I'm like, bring it. I was hoping he would bring it up. I mean, he was vital to, our generation's the past few generations' music. It's kind of like H.P. Lovecraft. That's how I'm kind of looking at him. Separating the art from the artist, and the fact that we always knew he was a piece of shit. Like, this comes as no surprise, but I do admire the strength of the women that have come out, because as a person who just accepted the fact that I was emotionally abused my entire life and I'm healing from that. And then bam, we get hit with this Marilyn Manson story. And I'm like, fuck him. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But at the same time, where I'm not going to say, oh, well, we're just going to cancel culture. I'm not going to support his shit, obviously, anymore. Right. But he was part of our influence. So it is what it is. Right. But I think it's important. Motionless in White is dope, by the way. I just actually started getting into them a year ago. Because I was kind of stubborn in my music taste, and I'm absolutely enamored by their music, and they're spooky. So I'm all for it.
Yes.
But you have some great influences. What about you, Caleb?
I mean, when I first started, like playing my own music and not just listening to like what my parents, like my mom listened to, it was through punk first. I was a big, I was obsessed with the Ramones first. And then, and again, I lived in Alaska, so, we were like 4 or 5 years behind anything else happening. And then I went from there, I found the Misfits, and it was kind of all downhill from there for me. Because like, I got into the Misfits because it was like everything I liked about the Ramones, but it was faster, it got harder, it was about scary shit, and then also like from there, it was like, I liked Danzig a lot, even though he's a complete douche. But his music, it's like, it was like tough guy bullshit. I was like, all right, I can get it. Because again, like I grew up so much that I think everybody on the East Coast knows like Glenn Danzig, basketball who like has a Napoleon complex. So anyways, I went from there and I started going to punk shows a lot, and I got kicked out of Hatebreed when I was like a Hatebreed show when I was like 15.
I love you. What the fuck did you
What did you do?
What did you do?
It was a 16 and up show, and I was 15. And I went in, and me and my best friend snuck
1 year.
in. We just did. By 1 year, we just didn't get ID'd. It was at this place called Club Millennium in Alaska, and we didn't get ID'd. So we got in, and I remember being fucking terrified. Like, they started playing the song "Smash Your Enemies," and some dude who was like 3 times my age just like curb stomped me, and I was like, "Whoa!" But I loved it. But as I get near the door, the bouncer's like, "Wait, I didn't ID you." And I was like, here you go. And I showed him my ID, and I tried to do like the really fast thing where you show it and then put it away. And he was like, "How old are you?" I was like, 15. And I just got thrown out. And immediately after that, I had the bug. I went and saw a band called Trash Talk. That was the first hardcore show.
Yes, dude.
That was the first hardcore show I didn't get kicked out of. And I remember I saw Trash Talk, and we got outside, and I went up to their singer, Lee, because I remember during the set, it was so crazy because this one guy, there's a lot of stage diving. It was the first time I got to see all that. I got to see hardcore dancing, and like this guy kept stage diving and stepping all over their bass player's shit. And their bass player like told him in between songs, "If you do that again, I'm going to knock you the fuck out." And I was like watching this as like a 15-year-old, like, what the hell is going on? And dude jumped on stage, and the bass player just straight knocked his shit out. And I went, "This is fucking amazing." Like, so I get outside.
Love it.
I get outside. I go up to their. I was like, "Hey, you guys are amazing." Blah blah blah. Just being a dumb 15-year-old, and he was like, "Thank you. Hey, do you have a menthol?" And then he threw up on my shoes.
Oh my God.
I went, "This is the best day of my fucking life."
I love it.
And after that, it just went. All my friends were into metal. I was into punk, so I got in the middle ground, which was hardcore. And after that, it was a mix of being into hardcore, but also being into all that 80s stuff like Depeche Mode and the Pet Shop Boys, stuff like that. So it's just being in Alaska was such a melting pot because everybody was either behind or they had moved from somewhere else in the country and brought all this other stuff with them to the music scene. So I got to be into a lot of different things at once. In one day, I would be getting into Alkaline Trio, but I would also be getting into Cannibal Corpse in the same day. You know what I mean? Like,
yes. Sounds like my playlist.
Yeah.
My daily playlist.
Yeah.
And that's just the internet too. I think the internet really breaks down that kind of level of division. Because when you get into the internet as a teenager, you're like, at least nowadays, you're like, wow, I can listen to all these different things in the same place. You have all these streaming services that you can listen to death metal, you can get into a new indie band, but you can also get into like a goth band or a hardcore band all in the same day. And I think that's kind of cool. So, yeah.
And it's funny because a lot of, I'm a huge Three Teeth fan. You either love them or you hate them. And
they're awesome. Yeah,
they're so badass. And Lex is somebody who I admire fully. I mean, I absolutely adore the man. I've seen them perform live. It's a whole experience, right? But what he had said a lot, in fact, I always tell this story because it's important. I was supposed to see them for the third time, number 3, on March 13th, 2020 to kick off my 40th birthday celebration, right? All my friends were going to go. We were going to fuck shit up with Carnifex and Three Teeth, right? March 12th comes. When they shut down Disneyland, I knew my life was over. I was like, Three Teeth show's gone. I collapsed on my stairs when they announced it. But Lex had actually started a whole Patreon thing, and he started doing these live Q&As. And one of the things that he was saying is that, first of all, they got signed, which I think was by a big label, which I thought was a huge mistake because up until that point, they were kind of independent. But I was like really disappointed, and I'm like, well, why? And you could tell even in his Q&As, he was like, I don't know if this is the best thing for us and whatnot, but I forgot what I was talking about, why I even brought up Three Teeth. Does anyone remember? I did smoke a small bowl before we got on. Fuck it, never mind, Michelle, shut the fuck up. Alex, get to your musical influence. Okay. And I will not be editing that out.
It's
okay, that's great.
So so I grew up, I stole my first Cure CD from my dad's CD booklet. and it was
stories are epic.
it was Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me by The Cure. And it's just a plain looking Electra CD. So I don't know. I just saw The Cure and I was like, hey, I've heard of this band. And I took it, and that album has Just Like Heaven on it, obviously. And I don't like to say it's my favorite Cure song, but it is my favorite Cure song. I usually say Catch is my favorite Cure song, but Just Like Heaven is just so popular. I stole that CD and I started listening to it. And my dad actually told me a story of how my mom and him, when they first met they were at a discotheque in Mexico, and they actually danced to Just Like Heaven. And so that always just like held a special place in my heart. But that just started everything. I mean, I love The Cure. The bands that make up the DNA that I have are AFI, The Cure, The Smiths, Depeche Mode, and Nine Inch Nails. I also like to say Queen, because just Freddie Mercury,
Right?
But yeah, I just really, I mean, as far as the bands that are important in my life, they're those bands, and everything else just branches out, but as far as the GloomCulture stuff goes, I really love The Warriors. I really love Ceremony, Terror. Pressure Cracks is actually a newer hardcore band that one of my friends is in, and it's just amazing. It's just an incredible band. Bloodbather too. They're amazing as well. Those are the bands that kind of just influenced, me writing this record. I was also listening to Joji, Harry Styles, Justice Carradine, just some pop, just pop. And I think that kind of got infused into this hardcore thing that we created. I feel like the hooks are very, not pop music, but the hooks are very like catchy, and they're very yeah, and I think it just infused it into the hardcore music we were writing. But yeah, those are basically the bands that influenced this record.
That's dope. Now I'm running out of time here. We have about 7 minutes. I want to ask you guys, you list on your link tree that on your link tree at the bottom, there's a link to donate to the Autistic Self Advocacy Network. What is your draw to this particular organization? What made you choose this particular one to list on the band's link tree?
Well, we talked about really early. Alex asked about different charities we'd be interested in giving to, because it just felt like the right decision to make. And I think there's a lot of organizations specifically. I'm sorry to like hijack this, but I feel like there's a lot of organizations that act like they're actually acting in the better interests of people with autism. Like Autism Speaks, for example, which really aren't that good of organizations when you look into them. But the Autism Self-Advocacy Network is the kind of foundation that actually allows autistic individuals to really express their own, what's the word I'm looking for here? Their own individuality. It allows them to actually, live and not just be looked at as somebody with autism. It's something that really allows them to live like you or I, which they should be, because they're just like anybody really. And I personally, I mentioned that charity because I don't know, I see it as something kind of liberating. I see it as something that is, I think there should be more of it. I'm really bad at wording my opinion on this, but I just feel like it is something that needs to be looked at more. I think there needs to be this stigma on autism that is removed, because people look at it in this really weird, ugly, really fucking ugly way. Growing up, when I was in high school, I would work with our special education program a lot. And, when you're like a kid, you just hear that kind of stuff and you think all sorts of nasty things because you're a shitty little kid. Yeah. But when you start getting out there and you start realizing like it's nothing, it's not a bad word. Autism is not a bad word. And you have these charities, like I said, like Autism Speaks specifically, who are like a fucking hate group, the way they actually treat it. They treat it like it's a handicap, and it's not. So the Autism Self-Advocacy Network, going full circle here, it just felt like the right one to give to, because I feel like it really allows autistic people to have a voice that is in their own individual way. So yeah.
That's awesome. I love it. Okay, and then what do you guys hope for, or were you hoping and planning? Fuck hopes. Hope you guys are like a shoo-in at this point. What do you guys have planned for 2020 with things, getting slightly better with immunizations and things opening up? I think it's premature, but live music.
We're gonna tour.
Promise?
Yeah, we're gonna get discovered by hopefully Warner Brothers. I'll accept Columbia.
Put it out there. Manifest it all.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy a Lamborghini for myself and every other guy in this band. I love them so, but they can kiss my ass.
It's Caleb's dancing hair that's talking.
Yeah, man. It's just like you turn into dance.
All of a sudden.
No, I mean, for me, I would hope. I mean, definitely a Lamborghini, obviously, a Rolls Royce at least. No, I would really love to play a show this year. We made a record, and it is meant to be played live, especially this hardcore record. It's meant to be, the energy is supposed to be out there. It's supposed to be, it's just a live thing. So if I have a goal for me this year, it would be just to play one show if we can. I don't think any, digital shows or, YouTube, going live on Twitch, I don't think it captures the essence of this music. No. And I don't think it would do it justice. So we're just waiting. We released an album early in the year just so we can have time to just breathe and live, and people, hopefully people discover it, because I'm super proud of it. Yeah, I just want to play just one show. It'll probably be somewhere on the West Coast, but
I would hope so, because I want to go.
Yes, and we would love for you to be there. But yeah, I mean, as far as that, I mean, we're looking to maybe do a split with Caleb's other band, Burial Summer. So we're looking at different things. We definitely want this album to breathe for a little bit, just so it can, get discovered, like I said. But we do want to do something for Halloween. So no solid plans yet, but yeah, we're talking about working with Caleb's other band. Yeah,
all right,
so we do
guys,
have time.
This was great. I appreciate the time, the fact that you guys were able to pull together to have all three of you speak with me. What a gift. What a happy Friday gift. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Yes,
for you
we appreciate it.
I will put up the tag to where they can find you on Instagram, Bandcamp, streaming on all platforms, you motherfuckers. So this isn't hard to do.
It's not. And we would appreciate it so much.
Absolutely. All right, you guys, don't just leave just yet. I'm going to say goodbye really quick. I'm going to stop our recording. Pause.